grew up watching my dad race off-road cars, and I knew eventually that was going to be my path, especially living down here in the Imperial Valley. I've got Glamis 30 minutes away from me, I've got Plaster City 30 minutes away from me, so it was a very natural progression in my life to get behind the wheel of an off-road car. Spending time in other disciplines of racing always helps in what you're currently doing because you can pull from different experiences at different times. I've raced on road course races in the rain and moisture to 200 miles an hour at Talladega, so it definitely helps being able to race different disciplines and then pull that information and come back. My dad's had the biggest influence on my career because he was the one that was racing and I was going to races watching him, and he was the one that presented all the opportunities that I was able to do throughout my entire driving career up and continuing on, and he's there by my side pretty much at every race, and it's definitely what racing is all about, and particularly off-road racing, is it's a family sport.
Well, I knew that early on I started racing late and really didn't have a lot of experience, and the younger you can start, and if you grow up around it, you just have an advantage of whatever you're doing.
My history with Fox actually started back when my dad was racing, so it goes back into the early 90s, and it goes back with my dad and John Marking working together and watching John go from working on race cars or building race cars to actually working at Fox and putting the bypass tubes on shocks and trying different things and watching the development from Class 1600 all the way up to where it is today. So it's a really cool thing that I get to represent them the way I do and have Fox on the side of my truck.
Growing up in the desert and just love the equipment, horsepower, suspension, and spending time out there, and Justin and I, we get to spend a lot of time together, father and son. You can't beat that.
Yeah, definitely winning the Mint, especially the first time, and as early as it was in my trophy truck career. It was my second race out in a trophy truck to win it. Was definitely a surprise, and I think a lot of people probably looked at me as like, kind of a one-shot deal. And we had a couple more months of maybe some mishaps, and I kind of showed that maybe it was just dumb luck I had. But then to turn around and do it again the following year was like, okay, I'm here. And we followed up with some strong runs throughout the year, and I followed it up in 2019 with just a solid strong run, and we had a couple all-wheel drive trucks in that race that I was able to apply pressure on, and I was able to be the one that came out at the end of the day after they had some trouble, and I plan on doing it. I plan on continuing to keep my title as King of the Mint going and in my career that way. Suspension in off-road racing is by far the most crucial thing there is. As technology advances, and I was the first one to actually have live valve on a trophy truck, and it was a perfect example at the Blue Water Desert Race a couple years ago, where as the course continually digressed, because it was getting rougher and rougher every lap we went over it, I was able to not only maintain the same speed from when the track was smooth to continually go faster throughout the day, because my suspension was able to adapt and go through the bigger holes better, and the faster I drove it, the more it reacted and the better it worked. So, I mean, if you can't go over the holes, you're not going to go fast, so it's extremely important. Well, I chose Fox because it was a natural progression from being able to pick up with my dad, but then it became a friendship thing and a partnership side of it, and in any good partnership, as long as both sides are doing their part and they did their part on developing suspension and continuing to develop it and make my trucks better and faster, that it just is a very seamless relationship, and it's been great. And what I see in the future that they're doing is going to continue me staying on Fox, and hopefully one day putting my son on them. On the live valve suspension side, it brings a lot, because a big thing when you sit in a truck for 12, 14, 18 hours, comfort is a big thing. That's the side of it that I'm super excited about with live valve is, hey, I can make this thing ride better than most people's Cadillacs can, but I can also drive through the hole that's 4 or 5 feet deep and not even really feel it. Winning is what solidifies the effort that you put in. racing in general takes a lot of sacrifices, and when you start adding crew members and you start adding full-time employees that are taking their time away from families and different experiences, it's just what solidifies what you do every day. So winning to me, and when I feel like I win, it's just a big sign of relief. Like, it takes all the weight of everything that you put in and just is absolutely like the most euphoric, relaxing moment that you can ever have.